First thing you do is sniff.
Mm-hmm. Get the wind straight.
All right. It is 7:02, and we're going to go ahead in case waiting for someone to come in. Let's see, I need to. And Tammy is the early bird tonight. Hello, Tammy. You need a handkerchief, honey bun.
I'm fine.
It's good to have you, Tammy, and you're the first and only one here right now, but that's okay. Let's see here. I'm going to read a scripture. I'm going to read a scripture and I'm going to post it up here. And it's Ephesians 4:6. And it reads like this. There's one God and Father of all. And this is a condensed version. It isn't the entire thing. But it says, it's in Ephesians 4:6. And this is the King James Version. One God and Father of all, who is above all and through all and in you all. And then I want to read this particular one. Now hold on to that one. One God and Father of all, who is above all and through all and in you all. And then I want to read Hebrews 12:9, which reads like this. Furthermore, we have had fathers of our flesh, which corrected us, and we gave them reverence. Shall we not much rather be in subjection unto the Father of spirits and live? Now, I wanted to read those two passages simply because I want to point out that every spirit, no matter what spirit it is a spirit that is of God, because God is the Father of all spirits. And then we said that God was the Father of all, who is above all and through all and in you all. So there's no distinction there about whether they were in church or whether they were saved or not saved or spiritual or whatever. It's just every spirit, God is the Father of every spirit. And so I wanted to point that out. Let me just see how many of you guys have done it. Hey, you guys, we started already, and Tammy got the first part of it. Hello, Dee Dee. Hello, Judy. Hello, Jill. Hello, Sandra. Hello, Sissy and brother-in-law. And hello, Phyllis and Edward and Diane. So you guys have come on in the house now. I'm glad you're here. So I just read those, and my son, Apostle Norman Armstrong, is on here as well, our son, our spiritual son. So I just read those scriptures because I wanted to point out that every spirit, no matter what spirit it is, God is the Father of spirits. And I just read that. And I might need to put it back up there just so that you guys can see it. God is the Father of all spirits. And so if God is the Father of all spirits, then what would cause a spirit or a person to become more, how do I want to put it, to become evil would be if they allowed their attention to go to what I call emergency emotions or lower vibration emotions, such as hate and anger and bitterness and resentment and fear, unforgiveness. And how do we, the more we spiral downward to those particular types of emotions, those kinds of emotions, those kinds of moods, those kinds of feelings, or we gravitate to thoughts that actually create or enhance those moods, then we are becoming darker and darker. So there's no way as a spirit that is directly a derivative of God can move away from God physically. There's no distance. We're all in God. So there's no moving away from God. only in our attention. In our attention, we move away in by going toward those types of feelings and negative thoughts. And how do I move myself into light? How do I move my attention into light? I call those moving into ascension emotions, emotions that are ascend, cause your spirit to ascend rather than descend. So if those would be uh, feelings such as or emotions such as hope or affection, loving affection, or thankfulness. Thankfulness is a really good way to do it. And acceptance, and not resenting, but accepting. Courage is another one, and non-judgment is another way to lift your spirit away from darkness, moving your spirit away from darkness, not so much in physical distance, but in your attention and awareness. And I hope that resonates with some of you guys, because when we look at somebody that's evil, we start to think, well, how can Christ be in that?
Mm-hmm.
How can that be Christ? But it is Christ. It's just Christ going in the direction of darkness. And when that person wakes up, that spirit automatically moves toward the light. It's a natural thing. That's our natural innate, as you said.
Mm-hmm.
That's our innate nature. That's our nature,
Mm-hmm.
our true nature.
Okay.
I hope that makes some sense.
She's working at it.
I'm working
She's
it.
working
Yeah,
at it.
I'm working it.
Now, the Father of spirits. In other words, he's the daddy.
Yeah.
All of them are subject to Papa.
Yes.
And Jesus made a statement over here about Papa in 14 at St. John.
Mm-hmm.
The question was asked of him.
Can you move your Bible this way so you'll stay in? Thank you, darling.
Jesus said unto them that he was the way, the truth, and the life. No man can come unto the Father but by him.
And I put it up there for you. I put it on the screen for you. So for everybody, John 14 and 9.
Then down in further on in 9, it said, have I not been so long with you, and you have not known me?
Mm-hmm.
Philip, he that have seen me have
You've
seen the
seen the
Father,
Father.
and how sayest thou then, show us the Father?
Mm-hmm.
Believeth thou not that I am in the Father, and the Father in me?
Okay.
The words that I speak unto you, I speak not of myself, but the Father that dwelleth in me. He that doeth, it is he that doeth the work. Now, just because you don't quote the scriptures and real poetic, homiletically, you need to be able to discern the I. In other words, when I say my body feels funny, it is I speaking from the body. If I say I see, it is my I speaking from
The body again.
the body again.
If
Location.
I say I am sad, I'm speaking.
It is
The I has located
from,
itself in its feelings.
in the emotions. Okay. Discern where the I is speaking from.
If the I says I understand or I'm confused, then it's speaking from the mind.
But in our true identity, all of us are the same. And I wanted to use that scripture there, but he that seen me has seen the Father. Now, here's what I'm out to bring to your attention. There are multiple spirit beings. I mean, you can't put a number on them.
That's right.
But the Father self, or the higher self, which is the real us, in his fullness, in the fullness of awareness, with or without your permission, all of these spirit beings are subject to you as oneness in the Father consciousness.
So are you saying that every spirit is subject to the consciousness level of the Father consciousness level.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. You may call it consciousness, but I'm just speaking at it as just the mass, the whole thing,
Okay.
with or without. But when you understand that there is a you that is 24/7 connected to all that God is. Excuse me. That essence of who you really are is and cannot be broken just because you're not thinking about it.
Right.
And in Isaiah, the 11th chapter, it talks about 7 manifestations, or I might say 7 dimensions, which is more than that. It's more dimension than that, but you cover all of those. In the package deal, you cover all of them. The ego is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10 separation.
Mm-hmm.
But when you go to your attention, or attention your go, or attention your go, or go your attention to your true identity, we are each other's oneness. We are one all over the universe. He's talked about the Lord shall rest upon him in the spirit of wisdom, understanding, counsel, might, spirit of knowledge of the fear of the Lord, and shall make him quick understanding in the fear of the Lord, and shall not judge after the sight of the eyes. So the key to these dimensions is finding out how not to judge according to the sight of the eyes.
Okay. Or the senses. Yeah, the senses.
It all boils down to experience of knowing. And you are in touch. You are the here's what I want to say. You are the touch of God. Wow. You are the touch of God. You are the actual expression of God in this body.
Okay.
But you got to find out how. You got to practice not being distracted by the senses.
Yeah. Now that is practice.
It's just like me sitting here beside each other. We are married, and we don't have to have the papers on the table or the rings on the fingers. We have settled the issue.
Yes.
That when she said I do, I did, and when I did, she did, and we both went on about our business. Okay. And we've been in the business ever since. Them old folks say, "You got the business, we got the business." Now,
monkey business.
No, it ain't no monkey business in us. We the real thing. We the genuine.
Okay.
Been drunk on each other ever since.
Okay.
And ain't nothing like the real thing. Ain't that a nice cut of pie? I'll tell you what you're talking about, girl. We are the stars and the sky and the universe, and everything is sitting right here talking to all these other little verses out there that are just the same as us. That is really okie dokie. Okay. What do you think about that, girl?
I'm hanging in there.
Come on in there.
Yeah, I'm just following you.
Come on and follow me, girl.
Go ahead.
And you just shake somebody's hand and say, "Thank God." At the end of my hand, I'm shaking the hand of God.
Now they can't shake hands.
Yeah, we're doing it. We're shaking.
Okay.
I'm shaking hands with God.
Okay.
And God's shaking hands with himself.
Yeah.
God, you feel pretty good there, girl.
Come on.
Okay. Now, I want to read something to you here about in one of these dimensions, these outer verses that is the same as the universe inside of all of us. Each one of the verses in the scriptures, we are the verses. We are the living verses. We are the living voice of God. And when God speaks, every spirit being over the universe reacts and move
and responds.
And respond. Now, here's something I picked up today about what we did in our infinite self before coming to this earth.
Okay.
Okay. Can I tell you a secret? Here's the secret. Before we were born, we had a conversation with all of the universe. We had a conversation intimately in the eons. It was telepathic. We had a verbal, nonverbal conversation, and we spoke to these universes about everything that we were going to face and experience and what was going to happen before we got here. And as the person that we were going to represent, we were reassured that everything that we wanted would be with us, in us, and around us.
Okay.
We were given peace, and we accepted and were told that we were going to be okay, and that there would seem like we would come here and project here, and it would seem like we would forget our contracts.
Okay.
And we looked at all the books and all the manuscripts of everything that we were going to go through, experience, and we did it in the moment, in a twinkling of an eye. The smells, the part of us that would be recalled. And there are some children now. There are some children that are coming to this physical world that can remember some of these past lives and conversations.
Okay. Previous reincarnations.
That's right. And here's what here's the conversation similar to what we went through. We're coming to Earth. Somebody said to us, one of our counselors around the council room in the chamber said, listen, all of our elders and our angelic helpers, this was spontaneous. This was really basically what happened.
Okay.
We got together with all the people, the groups, and all the people that we were going to meet here on Earth. And I mean, it was a grand dual time moment that took place. And
the verification for that, for people who need scripture, can go back to Jeremiah 1:5.
Yeah.
Where God said to Jeremiah, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. So that means he was existent prior to him being a fetus in a womb.
Yeah. So
that was his pre-earth.
To downsize to get in the downside to get in the womb, as Eve was downside inside of Adam, as the story goes. We downside to come in. So we had to really do some working.
We had to reduce ourselves.
That is a miracle within itself.
Yeah.
But you notice that we reduced ourselves to come inside of a being that could actually miraculously bring us out of itself.
Okay, now you're going to have to break that one down.
Okay. We downsized ourselves to get inside of a physical body that reproduce.
Yes.
The reproduction system that we got into was the miraculous power that all of us are. Reproduction systems.
I got you.
So when we got inside of these beings that could reproduce us, we agreed to downside and be in particular one. We've done this so many times. And it's easy as cutting cake and pie. We got inside of each other, already inside of each other, and decide that at a certain time, we were going to visit and preview these eons inside of bodies. And when the time was, that's why some of us come into these bodies, and the body that we want is not formed the way we agreed to.
But now, we had the body that we're supposed to have
before,
in order to expedite our evolution.
That's right. Now you say, well, did we choose these bodies that some of us have, that legs and arms are missing and deformity? Yes, we did.
Now I have to say one thing.
Okay.
You can't be saying I don't like my body.
That's right.
If you're the one who made it fat,
that's right.
If you're the one that made it sick.
Yep. Now wait a minute. Now wait a minute. You're not going to tell me that I agreed to the sickness and disease and Satan and demons and all that. You knew all of this before, prior to coming in this. You weren't introduced to all of this after you got here.
Right.
You knew all of this. You and your super self, you, Lord have mercy. There we go again. These goosebumps come. You knew well, good heavenly hell well, that you were going to go through this. The sooner you accept it. Now,
in your infinite mind.
Yeah, in your infinite mind.
Yes.
The sooner you accept your infinite self, the sooner will the universe and around the surrounding thing begin to speak to you in a more easy, concrete, precise way. I'm telling you, over the years, I found out that honoring my true identity and my infinite, eternal identity, the truth of us, caused the voice of my eternal self. I hear people on television that say, and some of the Christian shows that said, and some tell them about their near-death experience, said, and God spoke to me, and God showed me, and the Lord told me. I say, will they please stop acting like God and them is separated? Will they please start looking at this thing as they are one Lord speaking to the same Lord, my Lord speaking unto my Lord? That's the real you showing you. And you were you to you. From one real self to the other real self. It seems like it's two or three, but it's not. It's just one you. Now, here's what was said to you around the table. Now, I've been to this elders' room and these council chambers, and this is what we said. Some of us had reviews of it, because in the Bible it said that Jesus reviewed before the foundation of the world. He was previewed. That's right. Jesus previewed his coming here to go to the cross and to be raised before he got here. You study.
And that scripture says the lamb that was slain
before the foundation. So he experienced this prior to coming into the angel Gabriel and his mother Mary. Okay. He picked her. They all met. Oh, glory be to God. They all discussed this event before coming to the story, to the earth. Now, when I found this out, there's a little sadness that comes over it, and we agreed to that sadness. We also agreed to those feelings that we were going to have of what it would be like losing somebody or somebody leaving before us.
And the sadness comes from me feeling like I don't really have control. Most of us want to have control. And so when I hear about my sacred contract, I have to then accept the things that are being presented to me, even though they're not things that are necessarily pleasant.
That's right. That's right. Now, here's what you said. The elder said, well, you're getting ready to come to earth. And you said, earth? What is that? You act like you didn't know, but you knew. And why would I need to come to earth? They said to us, paraphrasing this, someone is calling you. Now, I often tell people that your mother came here with the programming in her for you to follow suit. Your grandparents and mothers just say they came first and you came after. Knowing this, you would like looking at it, aware of it, you agreed to everything. Did I agree to go to this family? Yes, you did. Did I agree to go through all this pain? And yes, you did. Yes, you did. You agreed to it. Did I agree that at a certain time that I was going to pick up a Bible or the Course in Miracle and read it? Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
In fact,
I heard my cousin say one time, if I had known I was going to come into this Shore family, I never would have done it. I just listened at that lip. I just listened at her chatter. I listened at the monkey talking out the lip.
And I need to say that
go ahead.
This you have researched or investigated into this because of your own background.
Yeah.
This gives you clarity. And it gives you it gives your life meaning to realize that all of the things that took place that in your growing up that were we look at as harmful, we look at as not your family being so dysfunctional. You had to find a reason to put meaning to that. So this gives all of that meaning.
Yeah. And you know, I when I begin to see this, I talk about it sometime with tears coming up, but I had to go this way because I couldn't find no other way of comfort to endure and to go through this. One of the main things that stayed with me was that I know. Let me tell you something. I knew, and you knew Christ, Jesus Christ. You have met the mother of Jesus. You have had many fathers, many mothers in these dimensions. You met everybody that you met when you got here. You've already, that's why I say often, thank you for coming to this dream earth world and allowing us to meet once again. And and you know, the more I talk about this with people, the deja vu, it gets stronger and stronger. I noticed over the years, stronger and stronger. I told a guy at the Jeep place today that my wife and I have been married 51 going 52 years. And he said, wow. I said, well, what's wrong with that? Anybody stay with each other that long? Wow, that's
well, everybody that I tell that to that's already met him,
here we go.
They say to me, I'm so sorry.
My brother said, how in the world you get a girl like her? I said, what's wrong with me? And you better straighten up that boy and fly it. Get somewhere and sit down.
Neither one of us knew we'd turn out like this. But now you were reading this.
Yeah.
This was like a mock conversation of what it was like to build that contract, that sacred contract before coming here.
Yeah.
So you want to go ahead and finish that? I mean, I thought that was really, really good.
Someone is calling you. There's something in your contract that brought you here into this story. And but see, now I understand that you were the real thing, like Jesus was, like all sages and all of us were. We are the real self as spirit.
Yes.
Coming into a story
that we built.
And somebody said, if I'd known, I never would have come in. Yes, you would have come because you set it up. You set it up, and you say, God did this. Now it had nothing to do with it. That's the who had something that are the who that had something to do with it.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Okay. Someone asked, well, what would they call me? You asked the question about, they'll know your name. You'll have a name. And they asked you, what they call me? And you came and you said, well, okay, I'll take the name. You've tried out different names. You've had different names. If you go in your Bible and look down the table of contents, you were involved with every name from Genesis to Revelation, and some names that you will call you didn't take it right away.
I have a question, a serious question. Now, Judy, of course, gives us the greatest questions. She says, does suicide indicate a failure to fulfill the divine contract, or is it part of the contract? Any thoughts on that?
It is, yes. It is a part of the contract that you chose to come here, and each time, how many times did it ever happen? You chose to learn how to deal with it from a constructive state. Now, my experience on the other side is that I was told that anybody commit suicide goes to hell.
That's what they told
That's what they told me. But at my personal experience, that was not quite what I found out about on the other side. I met 2 or 3 people on the other side that committed suicide. And I've talked to some of them on the telephone who told me that they were going to commit suicide. And when I contact the people that were around them, they did it. But I always tell them, when you do this, you are being selfish and you're making your family or your loved ones suffer. But at the same time, the bigger picture is you are, if I could say this, like Van Camp or Bush beans. Every bean mixed with the other beans that are going to be pork and beans. Some beans are going to be pinto. Some beans are going to be string beans. But you come into that class and you chose to go through this class and to overcome it. Somewhere in these evolution, there will be a time when the mind or the event will come up for suicide, and you will say no.
Right.
And by then, you would have learned the lesson. Some learn slow, some learn fast.
And it's a little bit, I won't say complicated, but
And
it's
I'm not giving you license to do it.
no, you're not. But and it's a little, I won't say complicated, but it is complex
It is. It is
in the
complex.
sense that, Judy, a person may have agreed to play that role
Yeah.
for another person to be influenced or affected and pushed or catapulted in the direction that they need to go into for their evolution. So it's all kinds of twists and turns inside the contract. It's not just that person's contract. Our contracts are kind of interwoven.
Yeah.
They're interwoven.
Yeah.
Just like this is all a shared dream.
Yeah.
Our contracts are interwoven because we come here in groups a lot of times. We leave in groups. And so there are so many different aspects of the contract, the sacred contract, that sometimes that person is playing a role. It's kind of like cooking. And then right off the top, I can't remember a actual scenario, but it's like cooking. You're making a cake, and if you leave out something, it changes what that cake is in the outcome. Now it changes
right.
it. So it's the same way if someone commits suicide, or if someone is born, or someone is falls sick or ill. All of that impacts and affects everyone around them, and how they react, how they respond, what decisions, what choices they make, all of the above.
But at the same time, I don't care whether a person live or die physically, they are all still eternal. And we all have, when it says, see, a lot of us don't understand that many times when people, before they leave their bodies or after, they go through what's called a past life review.
Yes.
And in that past life review, some of us, not all of us, will experience what it's like before we do these things on earth, or after we do them. We'll go through these and feel what the family felt, finding out that we did such a thing as this.
You know, I remember the scripture that Jesus said, where he said something about you could have no power. He told, was it Pilate? You could have no power over me except it be given to you of my Father.
Yeah.
So there was nothing that could happen to him except it was in his script.
Right. Now, Miss Judy, let me tell you something else I found. This boy that I knew had committed suicide because he thought that the policemen were coming to get him for a crime that he had not done. And he had been in jail before, and he just decided with himself and with his family girlfriend, he was not going to go back to jail again.
Yeah.
So he committed suicide. I talked with the mother and met the family, and didn't know this had happened till after I got with the mother to visit her, because she was a member of our church during that time. And I feel, as I talk to you about it, I have to be careful when I'm talking about this, sweetheart, because I feel myself connecting to him again as I discuss it. So while I was talking to his mother about him, I saw him going up some steps in a great hall. It was a tremendous learning center. And he turned around and looked at me and told me and his mother and the three of us in the room that he did this and he knew well what was going on. But he was not on his way to hell. He was on his way up into the learning center and the hall of records to go through this, to rectify and to correct this thing, so that when he came back again, if it was necessary for him to do so, he would know not to do this again. But he gave me a sign to tell his mother that I was in touch with him by telling me that he had, before he committed suicide, he had bought a car and had put new mag wheels on it, and to tell his mother about that. And I did in the room, and she said, yes, just before he died, he had put new wheels on that car. So these signs shall follow them that believe. See, most people think that signs that he talks about in the Bible are always miracles and healings, but it is what we're talking about, Miss Judy, is, and you asking questions about is called a revelatory miracle.
Okay.
Now, insight miracle.
Right. That was so good. Now Sandra's also asking a question. And hey, Sandra, she says, but is it possible that you could change your mind to not fulfill a contract that could be destructive?
Yes, there's a clause in there.
Yes, and I'm glad you said that, because in our contract, there are options, clauses, demarcations, expirations, penalties, subcontracts, all kinds of things in our sacred contract, whereas you may have the option to not go that direction within your contract. And then there are other things that are not there. So that was subjective. It's subject to be able to change. However, there are parts of the contract that are objective, which means they cannot be changed.
And say, for instance, I found out in looking back through it, my daddy was in the military, but he was a different person before he went to the military. But he came out, long story short, he met my mom, and my mom had met another guy who was going to conceive my two brothers and one my sister. And my daddy, out of all those two guys, he was the one that she married. Now, she told me before she crossed over that she wished she had married the other guy. And when I was little, now you won't believe this, when I was little, they all liked to go to each other's house and drink moonshine. And my mama married my daddy, and I was with them and my uncle who raised me with his wife. They all went to my second brother's, my oldest brother, daddy's house, and they drank. And these two men used to date my mama, and both of them had children by my mom, but they were friends. So that's the way it was. But then when I looked over it, I see my mama decided to marry my daddy and not the other guy in order to give birth to me, and for me to go through what I went through. And so I found out.
So you could be here.
So I could be here. And these things that happened to me in growing up, they had to be like it was. The school and everything was set. If I could take time with you guys on this broadcast, I would take you through every step. I can remember every step that was made, even the first step that I took, and the room, the place, and everything.
And that's okay.
I know. But I'm telling you, the details were designed in the eons before coming to Earth.
Okay, now I want to give another example so that they'll have real clarity about this.
Go ahead.
Because I know when we say this, a lot of us are still of the mind that I can change whatever negative is happening to me. But if you live long enough, you will find that there are some things that you do have power to change, but it's in your contract that you're going to change it. That you do have the option to change it. And if you have the determination enough, you can. However, there are some things in a contract. Some people have agreed to pre-earth collaboration.
Right.
They have agreed to go through certain things and not remove certain things.
That's right.
I need to explain that because everything's not going to be removed. Some things you are going to go through. I'll give you an example. I watched yesterday a program of a young lady. Her name was, I think it was Gabe. And I don't remember her last name. She was a young lady who had a rare cancer that it would come and show up in different parts of her body. One time it showed up on her liver, the other time it showed up in her breast, and each time and then she had in her I think in her intestines, and she had it popped up in different places at different times. So she had to fight cancer all her life, her life. She fought cancer and she beat it each time.
Like these kids of St. Jude.
Yes, and she beat it each time. And the thing that impressed me most about Gabe was that she did not allow the cancer to cause her to be bitter or afraid. She decided she was going to be a marathon runner.
Okay.
And so she took off running, and that girl won medals. She ran marathons, and she was really an icon and inspired so many people to just do a marathon for cancer, to raise money for cancer and all of these things. She had to go through that. Had it not been that she agreed to go through that, there are millions of people that would not have been impacted by the good of her strong spirit, her strength. And so that's why I say everything's not going to be removed. Some things you go through, and when you go through those things, you become the strength to other people. You become an icon to other people to help them overcome, to help them endure. So everything's not supposed to be gotten rid of.
That's right. That's right. Now, you asked the question before we came, when you went through the filing system, said, well, out of all the names that I've been called and the ones that I chose, what name should I have this time? So you picked the name that you got now. Now then you say, well, who my mama's name gonna be, and who my daddy gonna be, and how many? And I mean it.
This is the conversation.
This is the conversation.
A possible conversation.
Possible conversation. And then you came to Earth, and you chose this name, and you chose the dream, the story, the name, and you say, well, I don't have a name that I feel satisfied with. I think I'll go down to the courthouse and change it. Well, you change your name.
Well, I want to bring out, remember our son, Randy. We were foster parents for years, and so we took care of a bunch of children. We never had our own biological children, but we actually took care of a bunch of children and raised them. But Randy was one that we took in, and Randy was about, 4 when we got him? He was in the foster system, and so we took him in, and everybody was calling him Randy. But when we looked at his birth certificate, his real name was Percy. Percy was his name, but Randy is the name he wanted to be called. So we actually ended up adopting Randy and giving him that name legally.
Yeah.
So it was in his contract to change that.
Now, with our dog, we got our dog. Her name was Priscilla.
Priscilla, the breeder called her Priscilla.
I didn't like Priscilla. She's the girl. So we didn't know what to call her. We got home and we heard the word baby girl. She's listening up in that. So somebody say, what's her name? And baby girl. So that's baby girl. Now.
No, I'm gonna give one more example. Go ahead. Years ago, when my husband, before we ever started pastoring, we used to move around, and he would go to different places to speak, and he worked in rentals. So at that time, he had a lot of asthma, the condition of asthma. I mean, it was severe. He had bags of medications, and it was really, really hard. And we were believing God for his healing. And at the same time, enduring the problem, the actual condition. So he was ministering, and you can tell this better than I can, but he was ministering one night
at a man's house,
standing on the floor, ministering and speaking, and you can tell this better than I can. You saw an angel take his hand.
I told a hand
and go in your back,
go down my back, right inside my lungs,
and spread it out, and clean out all
he went inside my lungs and scraped that stuff out there and threw it out and scraped those out and threw it out. And I took a deep breath, and the asthma was gone.
He never had another minute's problem with asthma from that day to now.
That's the bottom line truth now.
But are there other conditions that didn't go away?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We have these hills and these speed bumps that we design. We design these speed bumps every time you're in the parking lot, you're in one, you set it up to go over that speed bump, slow or easy. You also had something to do with the fact of how tall that speed bump was going to be. Okay.
And whether that speed bump was going to knock your wheel off.
That's the truth now. Now, you say, well, what name do I have? Don't worry about it. You get one. They said, we love you and we will love you completely. The universe and the heavens said, we will love you completely. All of heaven and the universe said this at one time to you, and they put it inside of you. So you say, well, when I get there, would I have to deal with any rejection? Yes, you will. But you will always know that we put this in you, that you are loved by everybody. We will show you the blocks. You will be the blocks and you will how many bumps you will count and you will go over. We will send you in groups. You came in a group, and everybody that was to be with you in that group will come with you, and you have to when you get to Earth, you will be with this group and you will incarnate with this group. Some of these people in that group will leave to come back home before you. And then when you leave, some will leave at the same time you do. And we will put inside of you what your needs are going to be and how they're going to be taken care of. Yep, it's all inside of you. And you won't have to wonder what to do or what to look for. You'll understand all of this, and we'll help you to navigate better on earth when you find out this information that we're giving you. And you said to everything that's going to take place, everything that's going to take place in you on earth, you said, okay. Like little rascal, you said, okay.
And then you left the portals of heaven.
Yep.
Came here and forgot all of it.
Yep. But before you said, okay, you met all the people, the mother, the father, the brothers, who will die first, who will come after you, the gifts that you were going to get, the Christmases and all that, whether you're going to be in a black family or a poor family or in Africa or many times what kind of home you're going to live in, all your maps, feelings, the work you're going to do, the cars, the job, everything that you will see and experience, you agree to every bit of it.
And it was for your life lessons.
It's for your life lessons.
All
All right. What do you think about that?
I think that's great. So I want you to say this with me. Just say it with me. There is no one against me. There is nothing against me. No one opposing me. No thing opposing me. Except I already gave it permission.
Yes. Now listen, sweetheart. Don't go biblical skibble on me and start dealing with this thing about demons and devils and Satan and binding and loosing. You also put that in there too.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
You did.
I'm going to open this thing up and let you say, my mama said, go get me a switch. I'd already decided I don't get a butt whooping. I already decided when I got that switch, I'm going to get a little bitty one. I get that little bitty. She said, you go back and get nothing. Some of y'all decided that you're going to get a whooping with a drop card. And every time you go past a wall socket, you would jump. Some of y'all knew good well that you weren't going to get enough whoopings. You knew that you were behind on your whoopings.
Come on.
And that's what I told this girl here.
Yeah.
She told me, I never get a whooping. I said, that's what's wrong with you. Now, we also decided what teacher was going to teach us in school.
So now let's get serious for a second.
Yeah, we are serious.
For a second.
Yeah.
What about those children that come into families and they're abused or they're tortured?
That's all
that sounds very, very cruel.
It does.
To say that they had a pre-earth contract and they agreed to.
It sounds cruel, but it's true. It's true.
There's some things we don't have answers for. And I won't even dare to try to say that I have the answer for all of that.
One of the main things that I found out that has to be done out of all that we said, I'm going to slow down and say this to you. I want you to hear this. We decided that all of the power to go through this was going to be initiated through what the Bible called the hidden man of the heart. The reason why I said it was hidden man of the heart is because you can't physically, finitely understand it until you find out who your true, really identity is as an eternal spirit. And just finding that out is not even enough. You have to understand what it means to put the old song said, put your time in, because payday coming out a while. You have to put your attention. Please understand, it's not by might nor by power, but by spirit. It's not about you trying to get rid of bad habits. It's about you going to the part of you that can get rid of the bad habits. It's not about you doing it independently. It is in union and unction with the function of your spirit, your eternal self. The power to overcome anything has to be done by your attention. And let me give you a little grace in this too. Grace was, we were baptized and greased and graced with grace before coming here. If there's anything that we could, oh glory, oh my, if there's anything that we could have chosen to identify with coming into this dimension, it's called grace.
Yes, yes.
And
yes.
You may think it's like greasy grace, but it's grace. Grace is unmerited favor. We were endued, saturated, empowered with the person beingness of grace.
Yes. I like what Marla said. She said some abused children know how to lead their bodies when the abuse is happening, and that is so true. I've looked at a lot of documentaries about that. I wanted to read this too, because you had mentioned this about what comes with us. This is God's part of the sacred contract, and this is inside of the contract. All materials or energy necessary to complete your task are provided. May include receiving capital, like money. It may include being guided. May include certain relationships. It may include developing some type of illness and overcoming it. You will have everything you need within you to fulfill the contract. And then I wrote this down. You will not receive everything you want, but you will have to learn that you have the inner resources to do what you need to do. Did that make sense?
Yeah.
You may not get everything you want, but you do have the inner resources to do what you need to do. You will have to learn your strengths and capacity to push yourself beyond your limitations.
There's a book title, when she asked the question, title was asking
Tina asked the question,
book.
if you were reading from a book.
Who you were before you were you. But what I did was that there was a caption on the book that kind of set me in.
Yeah, you just read that caption.
I just read that caption
and then he went on with it.
And when I read that, who you were before you were you, from there I picked up. I went and tell you how I did it now. From there, already being my temperament is being like that, I began to go into the dialogue inwardly.
You contemplated
it. And the question, you're going to Earth, and already after years of investigating into this, I basically know from experience what you would ask and what would go. You once you get familiar with how your inner self talk, that's what. It's happening now as I talk to you. When people write books, that's what they do. They go into a dialogue inside.
They do.
And when in that dialogue, we call it getting into spirit, but it's called a dialogue with
it's oversimplifying.
But make it practical to you, they go into
an inner dialogue.
Like a child making a toy. See, one of the things that happened to me when I was little, when I wanted to make a toy, a big earth-moving a piece of equipment out of wood, I wanted to make it so it would function like the real thing. They were pretty big when I made them. Some of them were so big, my uncle told me that I couldn't take them out on the street. But I would go to these tractors and I'd watch them. And here's what I did. I found out how to project myself into this equipment as though I was the actual driver of the earth-moving bulldozer. And that was the way I got the feeling. So when I wrote this down, when I saw this,
you started to write.
I started writing what I was being the person experiencing this before coming to Earth.
And did you finish it?
Yeah. I mean, it was a lot more. And you were talking to me during the time I was doing this, and I kept pushing your voice out so I could keep writing. And you just kept right on talking. And I had to quit because you were overpowering me with your.
Overpowered you.
You overpowered me with your charm. Anyway, but
You mentioned this though about the grace. There are infusions of grace that will come to you periodically to help you get through your contract.
Yeah, yeah. You have to you go into now. You investigate into another thing that has helped me to write this is that I've done a lot of studying into near-death experiences.
Yeah.
And people who have had these experiences, and I investigated. So all of a sudden, the reason why I'm back into it again is because my mother appeared to me this week in my television room in a certain way that caused me to go back into investigating.
His mom,
again.
who is now deceased,
she's on the other side, and I've also found out that I stood in front of people and could see their loved one come up behind them and communicate with me about what to say to the people that were standing in front of me. Children, I've investigated the children. I've been over there, and when I say been over there, it's not really like going anywhere because I've gotten so used to doing that that it's like it's right here in the room with me.
When you say over there, you mean you
Crossing
slip over to the conscious awareness of being at that place.
And there's a part of me that's already there, so I just put my attention on that. So it's really easy. I've always wanted to get around somebody that was really proficient in doing these things like that. But you have to remember one thing. The church is not into what we're talking about now.
But they should be.
But they should be. And you know what? They have no idea that some of these people that go against some of the things that we're talking about tonight don't understand that in order for them to receive Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior and all that, they had to be able to communicate with a man that had a body that died and came back. And they are now communicating with a spirit being in the invisible world. And they say they hear the voice of God, but they are hearing the voice of a spirit that had departed and is now still existing. So people need to be careful about when they say the devil make you communicate with these people and all that. It's
they don't need to be afraid. If you don't live by fear, you will not have to deal with that. I like what Pearl, thank you for putting that up. It is a book that talks about sacred contracts in detail, and that's by Carolyn Miss.
Yeah. And there's others out there.
Yeah, but and we got another question. We only have 2 minutes, Tony.
Okay, go ahead.
2 minutes. He says, is that place the spiritual realm?
What place?
Now, what place are you talking about? So you can kind of, maybe he's talking about when you say you go on the other side.
Wait, which one are you reading there, baby? Is that okay? Is that place?
So maybe when you said about the other side,
the place,
you go to the other side.
The place that you go to is inside yourself. It's here's the switch. Here's the way it is. It's like you ride along in a car and you daydream. In order for you to daydream, you hit a switch. Somebody could be in the car talking to you, and you're kind of like split consciousness. Yeah, you're there, but you're not there. Now she do that all the time. She'll be looking at television. I'll be talking to her. She don't hear a word I say. She's engrossed in the picture. The depthness of the spirit of communication is determined upon how engrossed you are in attention toward this. Yeah. One thing you need to understand is that these worlds are real.
Yeah, and they're called astral planes, of course. Yeah, astral planes are other, I'll say, other realms where people, or I should say beings, have gone to that are no longer in their bodies. Yeah, and they're not final destination that they're supposed to go to, but they have created other astral planes where they are living and interacting and doing different things. So it's just that. And that's a whole lot.
Now let me share this with you right quick before we go. There's a book that I talked to this man on the telephone in Richmond, Virginia, named Dr. George Ritchie. He has a book out called Return from Tomorrow.
It's an old
book, but you can still get it. Return from Tomorrow. It's Dr. George Ritchie.
It's a good place for beginners to learn about the other side.
And I had some of these people that I could give you names to. I talked to these people personally about the experiences over there. And a lot of them, when I talk to them, I travel with them. It's called, some people have what is called the ability to do what is called shared near-death experience.
Mhm.
Well, a person could be in the room and they could leave their bodies, and the people standing in the room can leave their bodies at the same time they do and go with them into the light, but they can only go but so far. And the other person will wave at them and they go on in. I think it's really exciting, it's enlightful, and it's educational. I love it. I just
The
love it.
spirit world is just that vast.
It's just that vast.
Just that vast.
And thank you for your
just that-
questions. Yeah.
Just that expansive.
Yeah, yeah. I wish we had another 150,000 years we could talk about this stuff.
I know.
But our time is up.
Our time is gone.
And she needs to say some things to you.
Yeah, just to remind you guys that we will be back again on Sunday morning at 10.
Now, you know, Thursday.
Yes.
Yeah, you got that.
I do that.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say that, baby.
Okay,
I'm
go
going
ahead.
to say it. I'm going to say it.
Okay.
And on Thursday, Pastor Norman and I, we do a co-host impromptu, and he's on here. There he is.
Mm-hmm.
A co-host where we do an impromptu conversation. Right now we're talking about guidance, but who knows what we're going to talk about. And we've been having so much fun doing that. I hope you guys can join us on Thursday at 2:30. It's in the middle of the day. We understand that a lot of you are not there, but you will be able to see it on Facebook and YouTube. So I just invite you to come and be with us in that session. And I think that's it, except for your, I would like for you to bless Pastor and I if you can. If you can, bless
Please
us.
do.
And this is how you can do that. And of course, Jill has posted inside of the comment section about how you can give to Cornerstone, which is our virtual church. We do need your support in that. Your tithes and offerings are very much appreciated. And so let me see if I can put that up there, because I know they didn't have that up there yet. Okay, this will help you to see how to give to Cornerstone. You can go to text CLC Greensboro to 73256, or you can go to our website and hit the donate button. That's thecornerstonelifecenter.com. And that's it. That's it, I think.
Okay, that's it. Thank you so much. You guys are great.
Thank you so much, you guys.
Pastor Norman and all you guys out there, and the little bitty octanes and service station attendants and the nurses and the doctors and the teachers and the students out there. Thank you so much for tuning in to us. We love you with the love of our eternal loving self.
Yes, we do. You guys gave us some good thoughts today.
You did. You did. Let's try it again on Sunday morning at 10. Okay.
Thank you so much, Tony. He said powerful teaching. Thank you so much. Thank you, Phyllis. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Phyllis.
Thank you guys so much. So much. This was wonderful.
It's good. It was great.
Good. It
still is.
It was good. It was good.
Okay. Yeah, Oliver, you still there? Thank you so much.
Oliver, we love you. Bye, Brand. All right, you guys, we're going. Bye.
Bye-bye.